BT, we are back for the first time.
We are back.
Officially, welcome everyone to a brand new podcast brought to you by two old friends, two old colleagues, two guys who know each other a long time. It's setting out to be the world's best business podcast, maybe at least a business podcast that doesn't suck, right, BT?
It's not a high bar. It's not a
It's
high bar, in my opinion. No offense to our friends out there in the industry, but we've been talking about this for honestly years about how do you bring the same type of actual interesting content, fun content, have real conversations like people do. I was just at a conference in Vegas for Gartner, all types of amazing people who are there. And when you're in the room, those conversations are like authentic. And then you want to get that when you're not at the conference and you turn on the pod and it's just like people pitching, people selling their thing. Maybe you get a little tactic sprinkled in here and there, but the people in our industry, specifically the sales, the revenue leaders, the marketing leaders, like they're cool, they're fun, they're smart. Like we should have fun content. So it's time to give the people what they want. It's time to somehow inexplicably you and I be back here where we never thought we'd be again, but with some good intentions this time.
I agree, man. So yeah, welcome everyone to Winning Time, a podcast brought to you by Ambition. Goal of this podcast is me and BT are going to go through some of the most fun topics, conversations, talk to some of the most interesting people in B2B, in tech, in the worlds we inhabit. And we had a podcast prior to this, which we didn't really promote as a business podcast. It
It
had a good
wasn't.
run. It
It was
wasn't.
fun. It was fun.
We talked about conspiracy theories, weight training regimens, things like that. But
Some of that may circle back. There may be recurring themes.
that's true. And so this time, I think what we're going to try to do is bring that same energy and flavor, but into a business setting. Goal. I think this will be less of a TED Talk or I don't know, a all in style, more of a part of my take, if you will, or a Bill Simmons podcast.
If we fail our way, aka if we just make it up and we end up with the Barstool for Sales version of podcasts, I feel like that's a success because I don't know about your guys' commute. My commute's not that long. My lunch is not that long. I need like content in a 15-minute portion, 25-minute portion, and I don't need to hear people do like the wax poetic about the thing they're selling. And I hope that we can kind of tell some stories, get some people on here with like really unique perspectives. Most of all, do it in a way that's not boring, frankly, and have some fun while we do it. It gives you and me a good excuse to be effectively on the phone, which is what we wanted.
We'll be publishing this on YouTube, on Spotify. We'll be posting on LinkedIn, all that good stuff. We're going to have a lot of exciting guests on BT. We're going to have special segments every week. So the format of this podcast, this is obviously the introductory episode. The format's going to be every week. We're going to intro, talk about some exciting, crazy topics happening right now. AI taking our jobs, mass layoffs, all the fun stuff we love
Can't
to
make
hear
this
about.
up.
Yeah, all the fun stuff we love to hear about every day on LinkedIn. And then we're going to dive into some special segments, BT, with some special guests. I want to go over a few of the segments we're going to be having. I think they set the tone for what this podcast is going to be about. Let's start with one of our first segments, which is going to be Winning Time FaceTimes. And for this one, you're basically going to be FaceTiming sales reps who have just closed deals.
You hit, I mean, that's the summary. I couldn't be more excited about this. We've had a couple of these and there's not a place for it, but like when I got into sales, the thing that you live for is like the high five and the hype right after you close it. Like when you close it in Salesforce or you get the signature, the e-signature finalized and you talk to your your coworker or your buddy or whatever and you're hyped. You're getting it through. You just went through this journey, whether it was a 30-minute journey or, in our world, it's a 9-month journey with the big deal. And the hype around that is so cool. And what I think is weird now, especially in like a digital seller world, is like a lot of folks don't have that. They don't have like the camaraderie and the hype and the crew in there. Girl closes the phone, she hangs up, and like who's she talking to? And yeah, like you said, you can FaceTime me. I'll be that hype man. I want to hear the stories. I live on that energy. And people tell, you and I have been in this world for forever, and now we've done a couple. And like people tell the coolest stories, and I like the unhinged. Our one guy who I'm really excited to to share, Tanner, that dude's energy is insane. It's wild.
Mhm.
And I wanna do more of that. Personally, it's, like, invigorating to talk to people and hear their stories about how they won and just to get to be, like, the tag me in hype man. So, yeah, like you said, a winning time FaceTime. I
Winning
can't
Time
wait to do more
FaceTime.
of these.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking to ecstatic sales reps who've just closed deals and are on cloud nine, and I'm excited for it, man. So we've got wait time FaceTimes. We have founder mode, which I'm excited about. That's basically going to be talking to founders instead of like the, oh, tell me about the product you're building. It's more like, yo, tell me about what's your day to day look like. You're in the grind, you're in the trenches, you're battling against a burn rate. How are you living? How are you making it?
You're burnt out, like, what are you sleeping? What's your exercise program? Like, I wanna know it all. I'm so, I know you're probably like me, like, I'm so burned out by the distressed lifestyle porn on LinkedIn where it's like, people with the single space post and, like, some terrible story about, like, losing their dog, and then that, like, inspired them to start this company, and now this company that sells, like, automated PDFs is, like, because they lost their dog when they were 6 years old. Like, I'm over all that. I wanna
Yeah.
talk to the real founders, and you've set up a couple of these already where, it's never been, I think, a more exciting time to be a founder. But you're a founder, I've been a founder multiple times, and the way people do it is what's cool is it's totally different. People are, like, making it up as they're going. A lot of times they haven't been in the situation before, and I just find it fascinating to, like, hear those things from, directly from the source and how people are navigating it.
That's exactly right. So I want to hear stories about shipping code at 4 a.m. and,
How
you
they got their
know,
customer, what like, all of it.
yeah. What's your workout routine like? How do you deal with
What's your
stress?
stack? What's your
What's your
stack?
yeah.
Is it I'm with you now. Are you doing, like, the liquid death? Are
Yeah.
you on the peptides? Where's your supply? I need to know all the stuff.
All the most critical information that's keeping these people successful. So I don't yeah, in a world where like on LinkedIn, it's like, hey, I just automated my entire sales development team with Claude and here's comment from my Claude playbook. I'd rather hear more about like how are you as a human making it day to day as a
Well,
founder.
and you're such a cool, I think you live that life where you're like, "Hey, my best productivity is late at night. It's these hours. I do this stuff, and then I recharge, I work out, and then I do that again." And, like, I think that stuff's cool. I love hearing the different ways people make it work for them, which is super interesting.
So that's another segment we've got coming. We're gonna have Nerd Corner.
I was gonna say, speaking of, like, the automating your Claude or your OpenClaw to, eradicate what used to be great jobs. I wanna another thing that I genuinely think that we've enjoyed, and we've done, like, a little bit of, some testing combos here, but there's never been there's never been a cooler time to have people be like, "Let me walk you through what I did, and, like, let me show you how I built this thing, and I was thinking about this problem and blah, blah, blah. The thing that I have to repeat every single week looks like this." Once again, like, we just wanna learn stuff, and I love to hear from people who are excited about the cool thing they're building in the nerd corner world.
Yeah, it's Revenge of the Nerds right now. They're killing it, so I'm excited to have them on and get some of their playbooks. And finally, we have Procurement Purgatory. My brother's a VP of sales, and some of my favorite calls with him are where I'm like, "How's work going?" And it's just a 10-minute rant about procurement, just ruining his life.
What's really weird is that it's actually, like, getting worse somehow, like, in the world where, like, we're automating all this stuff, we're doing the smarter stuff. Once again, being in a room full of revenue leaders last week, it's funny that, like, procurement is more of the just the bad guy that you're crossing the river Styx, but you're crossing the river Styx for, like, days on end with like, improvement in sight. I love hearing the war stories from sellers who are just like, "Listen to this nightmare situation."
Yeah. So you're gonna get the hype of Winning Time. You're gonna get, nerd stories. You can get founder war stories. You can get sales leader war stories. We're going to have all kinds of stuff on here. So we'll have a different guest on every week. And then we're also, BT, doing a Mount Rushmore every week, which we'll get into shortly, our first Mount Rushmore. This is just an excuse for us to talk about a topic we love in a format that's easily repeatable. And yes, we did steal it straight from Part of My Take.
The most sincere form of flattery.
Exactly. So let's jump into our first Winning Time segment. BT, you had a great conversation with the young man. Do you want to lead in?
Honestly, I'm speechless. Like if we could take this kid, this young man's energy, authenticity, but almost blatant disregard for all of normal social sales settings, like I would bottle it up and we would sell it in cans, carbonated cans, and we would make a ton of money. Yeah, let's hit it. Let's hit the footage.
Tanner, what's up, man? You are on Winning Time FaceTime. What's up, dude?
How are you, man?
I'm great. I got a mutual friend of ours, Jeremy, told me you just closed. Big deal. I've heard you've been closing big deals for a while now, but tell me all about it, man.
Yeah, man. So joined a little startup at an incubator in town called Brickyard. Had an incredible product, and forgive me for being in the car. I'm on my way to Knox, Vegas, the greatest city in America. But yeah, man. So joined this company, got told they had a great product. They need some help with go-to-market and launching and closing some big deals. So they brought me in, and we did just that.
Tell me about the deal that you're most hyped about. I know you're slinging right now, which you're on a hot streak. I love it. But what are you most excited about?
Man, I'll be honest. So I love working with good people. I had met a guy a couple years ago named Carter Garrett, and it was back when I was raising capital, and got to meet him and just remembered that we solve. So let me explain what we do a little bit. So what we were doing is we solve a fragmented data issue. So I just knew that it could be anyone in healthcare, logistics, insurance, really anybody that just has shit everywhere. So what we do, we come and we solve that problem. So I remember Carter, he wanted to be one of the guys on the forefront in logistics with just AI-driven technology. So reached out to Carter, man, and we closed. Had a few meetings, but it was a pretty quick close, pretty fast solution, and solved and cleaned up a lot of his problems. So like I said, I love doing business with great people and people that I can just go have lunch with and hang out with, play team with, and maybe have a beer or two on the course. So
I can tell you're a guy who's got not only big time energy, but like you're a connector. Is that like, I mean, tell me about like connecting, because I feel like I can tell within 30 seconds right here. So you're talking to Carter in this case. Like, how'd you figure out what he cared about? Like, what's the secret?
All right, so I do what I like to call like my deep dive. So I'm I'm an off the rip, shoot the shit, have fun guy. But when it comes time to get stuff done, man, I really lock in. And I like to do prep the night before. So if I know Carter Garrett's in logistics, what I can do is I can sort of wrap my head around and do research. Now obviously I use Claude to help me with this, but I'll do research and really dig into what problems logistics companies could face that my products could solve. So if it's fragmented data, what kind of fragmented data is it? SOPs? Is it trucking routes? Is it things like that? How much does it cost to get a truck on average from his last 30 days, say, from Pennsylvania to Miami? What does that look like? So I really go in there, I prepare, and I set up questions. Because great salespeople don't go in there with the answer. They go in there and find the problem within the business. Everybody obsesses. BT, you love ambition. Been growing it for 12 years now. You could talk about ambition, I'm sure, for 24 hours straight or longer. So you're going to be more invested in a conversation with me, educating me on your business, as if I come pitching mine. But what you care about is how does ambition save time and make more money? So that's really my stance when I'm going to pitch.
You're doing it live right now. I'm doing it now. It's good stuff.
Dude, I sell solutions, man. So that's really my approach. I don't ever want to go in there and tell someone why they need my product. By the time I get off the call with them, they realize themselves why they need us. I don't have to tell them. So that's sort of my approach and how we win.
Oh man, I love it. All right. So I'll give you the quick and dirty here, but like in the last wrap up, you talked to Carter, you've known Carter, you knew that there was a problem. How did you get this? How did you get through the finish line? As a seller in my life, a lot of times we get down the process and then we run into the speed bumps, we run into the hurdles. It's technical, it's legal, it's procurement, it's whatever. Like, how did you run through the tape at the end?
Yeah, man. So a few points you just brought up, whether it's legal or things like that, right? Security, they don't want people to have their information, their data. So one way that we did it with Memvid was it's built off your infrastructure, so it never leaves your internal house. So that was one way that was easy to solve that. But I feel like the biggest killer of deals is everybody says time, which is true, but it's also money, right? Like people start to hear the price, it's kind of like the last thing everyone wants to get to, especially a seller. It's one of the first things I get to, because if I'm selling a great product that's really going to solve all your solutions, I'm able to justify that price. So let's say, for example, BT, if Carter has 30 brokers, right? If I can save each of those brokers an additional 30 minutes, or I put them in a better position to be able to answer a question on a call immediately, rather than have to wait and find that data, find that information, then if I can increase their closes by an additional 5 to 10%, I've justified my price in itself. So what I like to do is I make it a no-brainer. It's almost a no-brainer decision to sign, and what I do, I bring a ton of energy, and I make people, they're very excited to partner with us and grow their business with us, to where it's not me dragging them across the finish line. I'm holding up the tape for them.
Yeah, man, the energy thing, I can feel it through the phone. I love the passion about the preparation, the process, like the process of, you kind of describing a thing where you're like on their side of the table. And I think that's a huge part of sales, and just sales is even like too strong. It's like just partnering is getting on their side of the table. And I love hearing that, man. This is cool. I'm thrilled that you were able to join me and share the story. Last question. Okay, you get through that finish line, you hold it up for them, they run through it. What'd you do? What'd you do when the email or the DocuSign or e-sign, whatever happened? What'd you do after that?
Do you really want to know? Like, what?
I mean, it depends what it was, but give me the PG version of whatever. I don't know what you're going to say.
I love to learn the people I'm selling. So Carter, for example, loves golf, right? So I told him, when we close, I'm taking you out. We're going to play 18. Beers on me, shots on me. Let's celebrate something that you're going to use until you sell your company. That's the way I frame it. I don't frame it as a short-term partnership. This is something we're going to build together for the next 10.
Man, I love it. And even better to do it in person and be able to hang out and, break bread, cheers together. That's sick. I love that in our industry, in our world. Tanner, thank you so much, man. I can't wait to share this story with other folks. I bet you're going to inspire people with that energy and with that approach to partnership and being valuable to your customers, being valuable to your partners. Thanks so much for joining Winning Time FaceTime. All right, man. Enjoy Knoxville. Safe travels. Talk to you soon. See you, man.
Incredible, BT.
Like, what? What? The best part is just before we got connected, you told me about Tanner, and I was like, I'm aware of him. I've seen his stuff, some of his posts, but now I was in the spotlight. He was locked in. That kid's awesome.
It's like hearing about Mount Everest and then actually scaling it firsthand, seeing it face
You're
to
on
face.
it. You're on. All of a sudden, it's like when you're going to the top of a roller coaster and you're like, I know this is going to be intense, but I don't really know what's about to happen. And then you drop, and then you're trapped on FaceTime for 5 minutes with that.
Shouts out Tanner. So Tanner Stone, ladies and gentlemen, the one.
He's gonna crush. He is a killer.
Yeah. If you want to submit a Winning Time FaceTime, by the way, reach out to us. Like, we're happy to chat with you.
I would love to talk. I want to hear about your wins. Please let us know, and we will figure out how to get you on the segment.
Absolutely. So, all right, BT. So, sales Mount Rushmore. Let's just jump into it. This is our very first Mount Rushmore. It's a topic we love. At least be indicative of the types of topics we'll be covering. And it is the Mount Rushmore of sales movies. Thoughts?
I'm hyped. I always think these are like the listicle format is funny, and then we started. We started doing our notes, and I was like, "Oh, this is great."
So my first sales movie that I'm repping is a 90s classic, BT, that a lot of, I think, the young guns out there haven't seen. It's a movie about a guy who's an idiot, graduates from college, goes into his dad's business. His dad, tragically passes away at his own wedding, and it's up to this young man to pick up the mantle and keep the business afloat by learning how to sell. Of course, we're talking about Tommy Boy, Chris Farley's tour de force, an iconic 90s classic.
I wasn't sure what movie you were going with there. And then I was like getting closer and closer. This is what's funny. You said this, like, if you're like a 25-year-old, AE or BDR somewhere who's watching this, like, you probably are not familiar with Tommy Boy. Like, I'm kind of feels bad to say that, but like, go watch that movie. That movie is awesome.
Iconic scenes where he figures out how to sell finally when he's, Tommy want wingy, and he's just authentically himself with the waitress, and she gets him his chicken wings. When
The fail scene in the guy's office
where he sets the car on fire.
and David Spade's watching and just like, truly go up in flames. Literally, the meeting literally go up in flames.
David Spade's like the smarmy sales engineer that accompanies the goofball AE, and it's like, my God, like, what are you talking about, man?
Making promises they can't keep.
Exactly. So that's mine, BT. What's your first Mount Rushmore movie?
Okay, so I'll do the backstory, but like, well, I'll set it up. So the first choice on my Mount Rushmore is War Dogs. Jonah Hill is the seller in question in War Dogs. Him and Miles Teller are working and selling a contract for arms, like ammunition and firearms to the Pentagon. And there's a really, really specific scene that I think everyone can watch, but they win the bid through like an RFP process. Any enterprise seller knows this kind of like blind process. You don't know what other people are bidding. You submit your thing and they win. And the buyers, these military guys, basically let on in the meeting that they like undercut all of the competition. And you can just see the life drain from Jonah Hill's face as he realizes that they left a ton of money on the table. And he makes them like, he then goes and asks the guys like by how much, and they're told they would undercut the competition by $50 million. And he just dies, and they just lose their cool out in the hallway after the meeting. And it's just like the most that's an experience that I think anyone, especially in enterprise sales where you have big complex deals and then you realize that like you left a ton of money on the table, or you won because you were the lowest bid but you've been way too low. It's awesome. And it is like such a real scene by Jonah Hill and Miles Teller.
As someone who's also underquoted, it's never a good feeling when you find out, oh shit, I left so much cash on the tables.
I'll give you like a really fast backstory, and I'm sure the people who we were the buyers, we were negotiating, and there was this whole email exchange. Someone on our team was advocating for this solution. I was like, we're not going to do this for more than X, and X was way less than the quote. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, well, that's like a big percentage off of what they've already discounted, but like, there's no way we're going to pay more than whatever the number was. And I sent that email thinking like, all right, cool. I'm going to get a call from the rep. It's going to be a whole thing. And they just immediately replied yes. I was like, why did I say that?
Never a good feeling when your first counter gets accepted.
Literally everyone on the team is just dogging me in Slack. I was like, fuck.
The fatal first counter accepted is like, oh no, man, this was way worse than it could have been.
Like a 4-minute email reply.
Yeah, immediately accepted too. It's the biggest deal they closed all year, actually.
I was dead.
It's my second Mount Rushmore. We're going back to the 90s again. Another movie people haven't seen if they're under the age of 30. But this is the ultimate sales movie. This is the quintessential, like, if you haven't seen this, it's like required viewing. This is, of course, Glengarry Glen Ross, a movie that is timeless. I rewatched the Alec Baldwin scene a few days ago, and it hits just as hard as the first time I saw it. So basically, premise, you got 4 sales guys trying to sell, I believe, real estate, and they get told that there's a new sales contest. First place, brand new Cadillac. Second place, set steak knives. Third place, you're fired. Fourth place, you're fired. And they basically have till the end of the day to keep their jobs. And a bunch of craziness ensues. Great casting. Jack Lemmon is the Machine Levine, who's a past his prime sales rep. Al Pacino's in as like the badass sales rep who closes deals without trying. And then, of course, Alec Baldwin's the leads are weak, you're weak, always be selling guy. And I mean, to this day, it's still a timeless movie, cutting to like how cutthroat sales is.
It's like the quintessential sales movie, and it's so On one hand, you could say it is so stereotyped because it is, but it's like it all rhymes with reality. Like it's pretty
Yes.
close to like reality. Even the leads, like the lead stuff, this smarmy dude who crushes it and comes in and is like talking about his watch and his cars. To be in sales and to watch it, you get a little like
So BC, let's go to your next. What's your next Mount Rushmore?
going back to a little bit of the sleaze and the stereotype, but in my opinion, almost to an inspirational level is Ryan Gosling's character, Jared, in The Big Short, which on its face is not really a fun movie to watch. Like we lived through the great financial crisis. It is a fascinating movie, to be clear, but Ryan Gosling is this derivatives, basically a market maker. He sells derivatives to hedge funds, and he does the like super suave props pitch to this group of hedge fund guys. And it's this awesome back and forth because the hedge fund guys are totally shitting on the display and the kind of bravado of Ryan Gosling's character. And you've got him talking shit about his own team, him like, talking about this is my quant. He won a math competition
in China. He doesn't even speak English.
I mean, it's outrageous. It is truly outrageous. But he's doing like he's got his other, the solutions engineer stacking the Jenga pieces and then knock them down. And meanwhile, the guys are like, there's this awesome, the awesome kind of background or kind of like what the buyer side is saying of like, they trust him because he's so transparently greedy. He's so transparently full of it. So he's like trustworthy because of that, despite of himself. And it's awesome. I mean, there's also a great scene which I actually do this. I'm embarrassed to say, and this will end up getting clipped, but like he's in the gym with his phone, just doing pull-ups, working out, waiting for the call back from this group. Yeah, famously, you and I, we have access to this gym when you're here in Chattanooga, and I will take my laptop to the gym, which is low key, and I will just be there all of the last day of a quarter, and I will work out the entire day, waiting for emails, waiting for red lines, getting stuff back. When they come in, I'll sit down and like lock in, and then I'll just go back to waiting and just sweating.
It's a phenomenal character and a phenomenal movie. And that sales pitch scene is like one of my favorite scenes. It's probably my favorite sales scene in any movie. So my third Mount Rushmore, I originally had The Wolf of Wall Street on here, BT, but I've pivoted. And here's why. I'm going to go into a quick rant here. I think the most famous sales movies, Glengarry Glen Ross, Wolf of Wall Street, Boiler Room, all these movies, the original Wall Street, these movies end with like characters going to jail and basically committing fraud or some shit.
It was like a multi-decade campaign against sellers.
It's a multi-decade psyop against sales. I don't know what Hollywood has against sales, but they present it in the most dishonorable light possible. I actually swapped in another movie that I love that's more recent and has some great sales scenes. And that, of course, is Blackberry, the movie, which true story, the rise of a juggernaut in the phone industry.
Movie.
Yeah, prior to the iPhone coming out, Blackberry was everywhere. It was a true startup operating out of Waterloo, Canada, literally with a brilliant CTO and a CEO that came in and was brought in as a hired gun. And the scene I'm thinking of that movie is when they first try to sell the BlackBerry device to, I think it's AT&T or Verizon. They go into the pitch meeting and the CTO loses the prototype. So the process of going to the meeting. So the CEO's in there and he's forced talk about hypotheticals. Like, imagine if you had a phone that could email and then, you get shot down. Like, we've already tried this. It's technically impossible. But then the CTO comes in and actually explains how it works and why their version works. And next thing you know, they buy it. Great scene. I think a true to life scene when anyone who's trying to sell to someone who's like, this won't work, or this is, it's a major objection, but then your understanding of the product and the business overcomes that. So I love that scene. There's also one more great sales scene where he goes into the sales office, the CEO does, played by Dennis Howerton from It's Always Sunny, by the way.
Who's awesome in this like very serious, like intense role.
Yeah, and he just screams at the sales reps that they need to hit quota, and he's doubled their like quota, and the rep's like, it's impossible, and he just looks dead into the camera and goes, I want them gone. I want the phones gone. And it actually has a pretty brilliant marketing strategy for it, which is to go to high value places, country clubs, or whatever, and be seen loudly talking on the phone and have that be a marketing play for them, which works. So great movie. Underrated movie.
That's an awesome movie. All right, well, I'll speed round my next two. I'll do one and then we'll do yours. This one is not like the others in that there's not really a great sales scene. It has nothing to do with business, but it has everything to do with connecting people, which I think is a sales core part of sales, and I think it's going to continue to be bigger. But it is the movie Heat, which is a 1995 classic. In your darkest days as a seller, revenue leader, if you're like me, you just stared into the abyss, and it stared back into you. And Heat is crime noir film starring Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. Robert De Niro is effectively a bank robber doing heists, taking scores as he calls it, and Al Pacino is a detective whose life is in complete and utter chaos, falling apart literally around him because he's so obsessed with his work. Anyway, there's this epic scene, and I think this is the takeaway for sellers, sales leaders, whomever, but they end up meeting and having this rendezvous in a diner and having coffee together. And they're these rivals who are literally, Pacino's trying to catch De Niro. De Niro knows it. And they're just connecting on this personal, weird level where they respect each other. And they like respect what each other's doing. They respect like the level of craft that they have. And it's sick. And like, you're like, I want to feel that about who I'm working with and vice versa. Not really anything you can learn about sales in that movie, but I think there's a level of like professionalism, that professional intensity that both of those guys have, which I find super compelling.
I love it. Couple thoughts. One, like you nailed it. I think the best sales reps have a just like insane commitment to their craft and insane professionalism. That's how they're able to, make hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars a year. I also love that I'm calling out the Hollywood for portraying sales in a illegal light. And you're literally talking about heist movies being a great comp for sales.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see it. And another Al Pacino appearance too in this, which is great. Also, there's one other thing I'll say about Heat is that I did feel the urge to watch Heat the other night. And it's the weirdest thing where I think once you turn like 35, you as a man, you have this like weird existential need to watch this movie for some reason.
I think the lower your T goes, the more you want to watch Heat. It's like your body knows it needs to make it up somehow. It needs to capture another source, and that's just physics. It's biology just working underneath the surface.
This is why, by the way, this is what this podcast is all about, is like doing a list of sales movies and putting the movie Heat on it, because you're not going to hear that anywhere else in any other podcast.
Those aren't authentic dudes. They're not.
No,
authentic.
they're not. They're not seeing the world, in 3D, Technicolor like we are. So speaking of that, so my last sales movie, not a traditional sales movie, is Ghostbusters. Most people they're sleeping on the fact that Ghostbusters is one of the great capitalist, pro-capitalism, pro-sales movies of all time. It has one of the best sales scenes of all time in it. So for those that don't know, Ghostbusters, classic 1980s comedy, maybe the best of that decade. These three guys, it's Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, who's the third guy, Harold Ramis, are scientists who leave academia, get kicked out of academia, and start a company where they're exterminating ghosts in downtown New York City. And company takes off because there's a ghost infection. They're doing marketing on TV with ads. The three guys, like Spangler's like the Egon Spengler, the scientist, said the guy who builds the product. Ray Stantz is the heart and soul of the company, who literally puts his family's house up for the capital they need to run it. And then Venkman's like the Bill Murray's like the face of the company, marketing sales guy. And there's one scene where they have to convince the mayor to let them go out and save the city, basically. The EPA is battling them, classic,
The
government
government's trying to interfere.
regulations. And how Bill Murray convinces the mayor to let them go out and do this is he tells them, if you let us do this and we're right, you will have saved the lives of millions of registered voters.
I mean, the entrepreneurship angle is a thing I have never thought about when I thought about the movie Ghostbusters. Literally never. I'm basically speechless right now. But yeah, they're like in the building. The building's like falling apart that they rent or that
Yep.
they're operating out of. They don't know if the technology is going to work. They don't know, like, start like a nuclear explosion. They have the like lady who's like answering the phone that's like terrible to everyone who calls in. It's so good.
It's incredible. And the scene with the mayor, like everyone who's sold to governments knows how hard it is. They're battling government bureaucracy. The mayor calls him like the bishop from the Catholic Church at one point to like help. But it's an incredible movie and a great sales movie. Bill Murray's phenomenal in it.
I mean, that is an unhinged movie choice. And following Heat, I mean, you're not going to get Heat and Ghostbusters on any other professional development podcast. You're not going to have it.
Felt inspired after watching Ghostbusters. Like I don't feel inspired after watching The Wolf of Wall Street. After watching Ghostbusters, I'm ready to go sell. I'm ready to go bring the Boudin Agency to the masses.
If those guys can do it, if those guys can be successful, you can make it in America. You can make it anywhere.
Yeah, it's the American dream. So, all right, PT. So hit us with your last Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, my final is also unconventional. This is taking a weird route. As we surprise each other with. The movie is The Matrix, also in a 90s release, late 90s. And people will not think of The Matrix as a sales movie. And you'd probably jump to like AI and kind of stuff, but that's actually irrelevant to the point of the selling process. There is a specific scene, Lawrence Fishburne, who's Morpheus in the movie, is trying to recruit Keanu Reeves' character, Neo. And there's this amazing scene which has become a meme for all the wrong reasons on the internet, but is really, really powerful. He is offering Keanu Reeves a choice, red pill and a blue pill. You take one pill and your life stays the same. You wake up tomorrow, basically the status quo for you sellers out there. Like nothing changes, everything's fine, it's stable. You take the other pill and you open, basically you go through the rabbit hole into Alice in Wonderland, which is like not necessarily what you guys need to be saying out there, but like you open up the world of possibilities. You're able to see and do and learn things that you would not have the ability to do otherwise. And the part that's so smart about it is the positioning between these two things. The positioning between like, there's a problem, you're not able to see it, you're not able to solve it, and you can choose to stay the same. You can choose to like go down that path, or you could choose what could be a little bit unpredictable to go down the other path. And obviously he chooses to go down the other path, but it's awesome. It is like this amazing framing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's not a sales movie, but that scene is a sales scene.
That is a incredible sales scene. I've never thought of it that way until just now, but the always telling him, hey, I'm going to show you that your whole life's been a sham. By the way, the machines have taken over in this dystopian future and you need to like be the savior of it and probably die.
He doesn't push it. He's like, you choose.
Yeah. So I'm going to steal that tactic going forward. Great recruiting scene too, in a way you could say, which recruiting sales, or if you're working at a recruiting firm or a staffing agency, maybe just tell your next candidate, hey, take the red pill or the blue pill.
You want to wake up. You want to wake up in your sham life, or do you want to wake up in this hellscape?
I can't believe we have The Matrix and Heat on our Mount Rushmore. Matrix is my favorite movie of all time, by the way. So I completely co-signed this choice.
This is going forward. This is the inaugural version of this show. But yeah, I feel like now you're gonna put more rules on the Mount Rushmores when you send them over.
Nah, the rules are there are no rules. To wrap up, everyone, this was episode 1 of Winning Time. We'll be back every week. We're doing this every week. Subscribe, comment, like. If you want to appear on the show, hit up me or BT.
I want to talk to the folks who are out there winning. I have loved it. We're just trying to give the people what they want, and the people want to hear about you winning. Thanks everyone for sticking through another Great time. Another great time hanging out.
Yeah. We'll be back next week, guys. Have a great one. Keep selling, keep marketing, keep surviving out there.
Winning time out.
Keep winning.